All right, Derek. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I know it's a different spelling than Derek, so I thought I conversed over the phone with you. I remember that conversation, but anyway, if it's not pronounced correctly, let me know. Hopefully we can meet together on Monday for a live classroom. So this is the drawing you sent in. A couple of nice, pretty good ones. I got some tips here for you. I think you're trying to do the right thing as far as these cylinders go, using this cross technique, but check the book out one more time. Check out why they're using this, because I think you're just sort of using it, hoping it'll do what it needs to do. And I don't think you really need to use them, actually. I think you can sort of skip these steps a little bit. But let me give you, I think when things are lying on their side, and that's when it gets kind of tricky. It really does get really tricky. So we're going to actually make the box here first, then put the cylinder inside the box. That's kind of what you need to do. So these crosses don't really make any sense until you do that process. So we'll get to that in a second. First of all, it'd probably be nice if you did this. I'm going to actually use the crop tool, add a little bit more to the one side. There you go. And just going to brush out half of this side with the big, huge colorless brush there. Good enough. Just add a little more paper to the paper. I'm going to do the same wine glass on the other side. And I'm actually going to have a wine glass in front of me. I'm going to borrow one from the cabinet here. Hold on a second. It's probably a different shape than the one you have. This one's a little bit narrower, but I'm going to use it as a reference because I like to draw from references. First of all, when I draw up these objects, start with a simple thing first. It really does help me a lot when I draw to draw a center line. I'm just going to draw his hand line just straight up and down. Now, when you do that, that gives you a center to work from. So, like the cylinder here, draw the center line first, and then make sure that the two elements are going to come down straight off of it, and also that everything is square with it too. This cylinder here, the top, circle, this oval shape, should be flat with that cylinder. So, with the wine glass, it's even tougher. I'm going to try to get it's roughly the same level you are. So, that first circle is really important to get that in there pretty straight. I did a bunch of circles. This is what I learned this from my painting teacher, my drawing teacher. He said, just draw a bunch of circles and just get used to that. Just like draw a bunch of circles like this, just until you get it nice and level. Just like basketball practice or football, I guess. Do the drills, baseball. Okay? You have a drill, you just gotta get muscle memory until you get it looking really right. Now these are all a little bit. Look, this one's a little bit rounder on the top and a little flatter at the bottom. So I could do that several times, and then I can come back and prescribe one last line that follows along. I got pretty good at this, but it's a little harder on this tablet than it is in real life, so I'd much rather draw on paper. All right, so get that. So the first few lines are really loose and rough. Then I'm going to decide how far this goes down to the base of the wine glass, like that. Okay. Then proportionally, I'm just going to hold my fingers up to the wine glass, and I'm going to bring my fingers down and find this stem here, this glass part here. This is about the same distance to the stem, to the base of the stem, right about there. Okay. Now the center of this wine glass here would be centered in this disc, and this disc here would be wider this way. It's the same width, or it's a little bit wider than the top of the glass, slightly, yeah, but it's definitely more proportionally wide vertically. That. So I kind of do a guiding curve first, then do another curve, and then finally put the last one down. Like that. Now, to get the center of this thing, first of all, just draw a vertical line. You're pretty much good to go. With this particular wine glass, the center, and even in a regular wine glass, the center here would be above the actual center. It's a little bit far back on yours, so it'd be more like here. I'd say, you know, about a third, 2/3. And again, just compare by holding your fingers up and seeing what that looks like there. Now this base of this the stem goes like about there, because there's a certain thickness to this. This actually, from the side view, ramps upward. So you would naturally see this hole further back because of it. Okay. Now I'm going to do a little bit of a curve on this side, and a curve on this side. They both match. You know, these kinds of things are tricky. It's a lot easier if I have a piece of paper in front of me instead of this drawing tablet. I really do think, you know, I do critiques on a drawing tablet, and I oftentimes think that they're actually not that good as drawings go, you know, which is fine. I'd rather just kind of talk about the concepts than worry too much about how my drawings look. Hopefully you'll forgive the rough crudeness of these drawings in the end. They could be better. I'm kind of using the white paper. I'm using white, you know, ink here, or white color, to just sort of erase back out that alternate shape. Now, this other part is going to be pretty tricky. I think you're approaching it the right way. You know, you're doing this sort of large circles here. The middle of the wine glass here, the outer portion, comes out to about here. And you can actually just kind of go straight down with the cylinder like this, or even like an outward angle. And just get those two angles to be roughly the same on each side, because they do kind of go down straight. And then from here, you can kind of do the same thing, just sort of the same. It's going to be the same on both sides, no matter what you do. What angle this is at, it's going to be the same on both sides. Then you can kind of run this curve from here to there, just sort of intersect that curvature. And go on this side, do the same thing. Let's actually come in a little bit more. And just look at it and go, well, you know, if it's a little bit tight on one side, not on the other, go back over it and just push it out in different areas. These simple shapes like this are actually very, very hard to do. They're really challenging, so I'm having you guys do these first. Simple cylinders and simple boxes, not easy. Not easy at all. You guys are good. You guys can manage. I have faith in you. All right, so there's that. So that's kind of a little bit more like what I'm looking at. It's a different shape than what you have, obviously. And then once you're done, you can kind of go in there and put a bit of wine in here, and that's just going to be this, somewhere between this cylinder here, this oval shape, and this oval shape, which is down below. So the bottom one is more of a circle. Strip of up and down is going to be a flat circle. So somewhere between those two is going to be this little bit wider shape. I mean, wider isn't deeper. It's more of an ah and an e, like a mouth. So this one would be sort of like this. Again, just try to get those shapes to be nice and round, and even on both sides. This curvature here and this curvature here, about the same curvature. Just blending nicely, not like a point on the end, but just a nice round and nice little swing right through there. Just a little bit of wine or water. You're probably not even of age to drink wine at this point. I should assume you're not, since you're a college student. You know, water, root beer. No, it's wine. We're college students. We're not high school students, right? All right, so there you go. There it is, I think. So that's the wine glass approach. And you can double check too. You can kind of run a straight line from here, from the edge of the glass straight down. Just try to get those vertical lines as straight as possible. And just see if there's the same amount on each side of the leftover edge of the base. I think the base is actually the same width as the top portion. You can always go back over too, like, oh, maybe I'm going to make this top portion a little bit wider. Or there's a thickness to the wine glass. There's an inside portion and an outside portion. And because it's translucent, you can see right through it. You'll see that thickness actually happening there. So you might want to put that in there too. And there's a lot of distortion right through here. We'll get into adding all those contour lines and things like that much later. Once you get the hang of contour, then doing these refractions and reflections in this glass to get that effective glass really does help a lot. I'm just gonna trace and follow the reflections that you see in the actual wine glass here. I'm not inventing this. I'm actually looking at where the reflections are on the surface. Cool. So that's that. Let me look at this one real quick. This one on its side, very, very tricky. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Crop this and add a little bit more to the side. Make the background. If you make the background the same color as the color here, when you do a crop, a reverse crop, it'll actually add more to it. Although, here's the thing. If I do a crop first, like this, and turn on delete cropped pixels, and hit OK, and then uncrop that with that background color being gray, it just fills it up with nothing. Hold on. It used to do that. It used to fill it up with the gray. Now it fills it up with that. Photoshop has changed. It's done different things here lately. I'm not sure I appreciate their switching around the way it does things. Oh, whatever. No biggie. I can adapt. All right, so I used Photoshop for about 20 years now. 20, heck, 30 years. Using this is version 1, pretty much. Okay, so this guy here, this one here. I'm going to draw the box. Now, drawing the box is important. I'm going to try to put the box against the ground. So what you have is you have the figure. The figure is this cylinder here. The ground is whatever's around it, right? So you have figure-ground relationship. So to get that properly, I'm going to go back to our old friend, the box, and figure this is a long cylinder, say a little bit longer than a Coke can, not quite a Pringles can, but longer than a Coke can. So it kind of goes like this. This end is going to be a complete square, and this one, to get that perfectly square, is a bit of a trick, and I just have to eyeball it and go, well, if it's not a square, how do you measure that into being a square? Well, there is one trick, and here's why we use those X's. To get that right perfectly in a square, let's see. No, that's not really good. Yeah, you still used to be like fussing the proportions. You just sort of have to get the box in and try to get that end to be equally wide as it is long. And when you turn the box this way, the end is going to change. Like now I'm seeing more of the length of the box. And over here, it's like this part's flatter here. This part here is going to be much narrower. To get that same effect, to get that to be a square, it has to actually look a lot narrower. You have to put foreshortening in this thing. So if I'm drawing a cylinder outside, oftentimes I'll just draw a box first. It's a little bit easier to get this. Then what we do is we do a cross here and a cross there. Once that's done, what we want to do is try to get the center. To get the center here, then we draw a line that goes through here and a line that goes vertically. And these two lines are where the halfway point here and here go. Because one actually would be a little bit longer than the other one. You don't have to really worry about that too much. You can just get away with just putting an X there. But these are where the points of the circle have to end up. Right there. They have to end up here, here, and here, and here on the edge of this box you just traced. It seems kind of screwy. Like, why am I doing all of this extra work? But I've forced myself to do this, and I'm able to not do this anymore, and I get the cylinders really right. So, to get this circle, I'm going to go from here around this edge, like this, to create a circle there. From here to here, I touch this edge, and bring it down like that. This one comes up, and there. They have to touch these points to get through. Now, same thing on this one. I'm just going to eyeball this one. I'm going to try to get those points there, 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 and there. These little points force you to kind of, you have to hit those points. Now this one you don't have to do the back side because who's going to see it, right? So now I can go from here, this part, to there. Be pretty sure that that's going to, this line should be parallel to that line there too. Oh, it should come in a little bit because there's perspective involved. But that will give you that cylinder lying outside. We take the same cylinder. Actually, this cylinder is much shorter than this one. If you notice, I didn't actually pull this off. This should actually come off right at the edge of the paper, and maybe I will do that. Since I want you guys to do this anyway, I'm going to do it myself. Practice what I preach. I'm going to fill this out like this. Try to match your paper there. I'm going to do this, switch over there, draw this line like this, like that, like this, like that, and that is probably, that looks like the same proportions as that one. So even I mess up, and you just have to force yourself to make the correction. If it doesn't look right, keep drawing lines until you get it to look right. And don't be satisfied with the first line you put down. And don't be worried, don't be precious about a line. You put a line down, it's just a line. You can fix it. So I'm going to put this point here, here. Again, at the halfway point, at these here, 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 and here. Got to make it halfway between this line, this point, and this point. That point goes there. Between this point and this point goes there. In these 2 points here, that goes there, and that goes there. Same thing on this side. And we do the same thing. We kind of draw the back side of the box. So we kind of need that point in the back, this one in the front. So we draw this line here, and this one gets much flatter. So you sort of trace this oval. And if you notice, it tilts forward a little bit. It's not straight up and down. It's not like this down here. It's actually tilting forward like that. But it still gets through those 4 points, even though it's tilting like that. If I draw a line straight down the center, the end point should stick out furthest right here and here. It should peak right there, but touch that part there. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can sort of see what I'm talking about. This is a pretty important concept. If you get this, then you got this down. So if you notice this curve hits that point through here, right there, hits there, but it peaks here. And here it hits this point here, it goes through that point, but it peaks here. And where it peaks, that line here should be perpendicular, just visually perpendicular to this line there. That should be a 90-degree angle here and here. If it's not, then make it so. Because what you want to do is sort of like, let's see, turn this around. If I turn this around like this, that should be straight up and down. If I bring it straight up and down like this, this here and this here should all be a straight cylinder, straight up and down. The same way you've drawn it before, now it's just turned outside. There's no difference between this cylinder and a vertical cylinder. It's just turned over. Okay, so now it's turned over like that. So that's that. Let me clean this up a little bit more. Try to get that nice and finished. Again, I'm using sort of a virtual eraser as a drawing tool. The kneaded eraser is really nice, and there's like a little eraser pens that I like too, like the harder erasers, the white eraser pens. Those are great too to make really nice sharp lines with those. So that should be like that. And then on the other side, because you know this box is more open over here, you know that this curve is going to be, again, hitting right there, going through this line. This should be a much softer line, and it should curve hard right there, right at that corner right there, and go back up and hit this line. But that part's going to be visible, you don't see it, so your cylinder goes through like that. That'll work to use my eraser and kind of erase out some of these construction lines. When I'm done, I want to get rid of it all. It's good to kind of have it there so you kind of remember how you constructed these things. once I learned this trick, it really, really helped me pretty much build anything I wanted to. And this was always an issue. Like, how do I just draw a darn cylinder lying on the ground? And this really does help. So I think you're sort of thinking about these techniques with the crosses and stuff, but I don't know if you're using, the right way. This would be a box. It would be like this, using perspective. And the lines would be through here and through there. That would give you the center points. And that's the only thing you needed to have a center point. Then you can sort of do the curvature through here, using kind of a constructed method. But oftentimes I just like to draw on it. So, but if I just were to look at this and go, well, I know this is going to be like this, because this has to be, perpendicular at these two points here and here. Had to be perpendicular to this line here that goes down the center of it. And this curvature here is like that. Get the perspective right. Just this angle is a little goofy right there. You see, I have to just kind of draw a bunch of lines in through there, and then find one that works, and use that as my final line. I don't go real hard in until I know I got a good line I can follow. But I don't want to go in there and really fuss it up and finesse it and be too afraid. I like the speed of a nice fast line. It just gives your drawing much more energy if you can just sort of draw it in quickly. You sort of draw the white in there as quickly as you draw as fast as you draw the black. I think you'll have more energy in your stuff. Okay, hope that makes sense. I'm looking over at this thing and looking. It has to be even bigger here or smaller here. Being a good taper there. Sometimes I construct it, then I have to go back and just eyeball and say, maybe I miscalculated something, and I just got to go back in and finish something out. That's much better. Cool. All right. I promised you you'd be the first person I talk to about this and sketch this out. But and I think I've kept my promises. 22 minutes, but I think this is an important one. I spent a lot of time with all you guys in this. I really enjoy it. Sometimes I like to pick a piece of white Conte. Conte is a French for crayon. It's a crayon. Conte crayon. And just sort of putting some highlights in here on top of my charcoal. That's why I like to use charcoal, because you can put white charcoal on top of dark charcoal and get these really cool effects. I'm doing it virtually with Photoshop, but I really do like the messy media much more. Okay. Just hard to record while I'm drawing on top of your stuff you email me. All right. Cool. Keep rocking.